We didn't come out with enough oomph, if that makes any sense. We gotta play hard. Like I said, we gotta play hard. We don't have that guy that can just change things around in a matter of seconds. We're a team, we're young, we gotta play hard.
Welcome back to the Garden Report, powered by lynda.com. Go to CLNS Radio for more details on how you can get involved with lynda.com. A really great resource for you want to learn anything about anything. You want to learn how to be one of us, go to lynda.com, or you can just call me on my cell phone.
You don't want to be me.
Okay, you want to be Julian Edlow.
You don't want to be me.
Okay, so
everybody wants to be Julian Edlow.
So let's talk about people that you don't want to be, and that's on the Celtics active roster right now, because things are getting really messy.
They got some spots open.
Jimmy, I'm just going to throw it to you. Why don't you just pick it up with what you wanted to talk about?
I want to talk. Well, we almost talked about it last video, and it was about Jared Sullinger and how he's got so much on his plate right now. We were talking about on the court. I think now he might even have a little bit more on his plate off the court, and that has to do with the fact that Rajon Rondo is gone, Jeff Green is gone. Avery Bradley is the longest tenured Celtic on this team, and he's been on the, and he's 22 or 23 years old. He's a young guy. The point is, this is a young team searching for an identity and searching for a leader, two of which they at this moment do not have, and I think that was apparent tonight because they started this game off extremely flat, and my teammate A-Shrad Blakely pointed it out that Stevens called a timeout about 2 minutes into this game, which is something that he doesn't do that often. And the reason he did so is because he said he was so disappointed in how his team came out, and he said they should have been down. He's lucky that they weren't down more than what they were. They should have been down twice as much as they were.
They were tied after the first quarter, amazingly.
Right.
Oh.
So they got lucky there, but that really didn't show you the type of effort that the Celtics were giving, which wasn't much. And I think if they did have a leader, if they did have somebody that was holding this team accountable, or getting maybe a little bit more vocal in each other's ears about stuff, maybe that doesn't happen. Jared Sullinger was asked, does he want to be that guy, the guy that teams, I don't know the exact wording. I don't want to put words in his mouth. Hopefully we played the clip before this video. I don't want to take.
Yes, we did.
I think it was along the lines of, does he want to be that guy that can
kind of like rallies the team around,
get the team together?
And he said he doesn't want to be, and I don't want to take him out of context. He doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be in that sense. He doesn't want the team. What he's saying is he doesn't want the team to have that to happen.
Oh.
He wants to start off on the right note. He wants to say that way. He doesn't want to have to dig them out of a hole.
And I asked him that question after the last game. He's been asked that question a few times since these trades went down. And we've tried to ask him, we're not talking about the team. We're just talking about you as you being a great player down the road. And he refuses to answer the question in that way.
He will not answer.
Which I think I look at that as a positive. I look at that as him trying not even to acknowledge the concept of hero ball right now and just solely being focused on trying to get this team in the right direction. So I don't think it's really a semantics misconception of the question from him on his part, Julian. I think it's really just him trying to deliver maybe a more consistent message.
Yeah, he seems to, when he speaks in the locker room, he talks a lot about team basketball, and he always shoots down the concept of hero ball, and that's good. But in some sense, Jared Sullinger probably is the best player on this team right now. So you do want him to maybe admit that he's taking on a little bit more responsibility despite his age. Like we said in the first segment, it's unfair, but this is where the Celtics are. They're going to have to make something of it. And a way that they can maybe grow as a team is Sullinger developing into a little bit of a leadership role. And I think that'll be something important to watch in the second half of the season going forward, if that's something that he accepts and kind of puts in the back of his mind.
I mean, this is a Celtics ghost ship sailing across the ocean without a captain, literally and figuratively. This team, and unfortunately, I don't see it changing overnight. I think this is just going to be one of those seasons where a Jared Sullinger, where an Avery Bradley, or maybe a Marcus Smart comes into their, something triggers in their mind where they do sort of take over, in a sense, this team, and they do maybe hold certain players accountable, or they do lead by example more than maybe they were before, and guys sort of latch on to that. It's tough for Marcus Smart to take on that responsibility. I don't expect him to. I don't expect a rookie to come in and do that. But I do expect it, whether he wants to say it or admit to it or not. I do expect it now out of a guy like Jared Sullinger, because honestly, there's no other choice. There's not really that many other options. You have no choice sometimes but to take on that role, whether or not you want to or not.
All right, let's go back to Sullinger really quickly and hear more of what he had to say.
Not really. I want to win. I want to win. Now, I don't want to have to be a guy that has to swing momentum. I want to be a team that comes out, plays hard, wins basketball games, and just leave everything we have on the court. No need for a guy to swing momentum. We shouldn't have to worry about that. We're so young. We should be able to play hard as long as we can for the whole 48 minutes.
All right, so let's talk about DeMarre Carroll before we go to box and ball. I mean, this guy was kind of the lifeblood of this team tonight, Julian. I was blown away by just how efficient every move that he makes is, how aggressive he is around the hoop, but still smart. I mean, Brad Stevens, I feel like he didn't really specifically talk about Carroll that much, but Carroll seemed to really epitomize everything that Stevens was talking about with how good the Hawks are.
Yeah, he's one of these kind of secret guys that makes the Hawks the machine that they are.
Yep.
You know, people, Millsap and Horford have made all-star teams. People know Korver. He's a threat from three whenever he touches the ball. Teague rather has, come on as one of the better point guards in the league. Carroll gets forgotten, and he's a really good player. 22 points tonight. He shot really efficiently. He's kind of one of the guys that, not that the Hawks are anywhere close to what the Spurs are, but just one of those kind of weapons, unknown weapons that they have that is a reason that this team is so good.
You need a guy like Carroll on your team. You already talked about the three-point shots he can take. He went to the line 5 times tonight. He can score from all over the court. And he's, like you said, he's a guy that he's very unheralded. Mm-hmm. And when you have a group of guys that are in it together and they're not in it for the credit, but you're all working towards the same goal, that's when you get things done. That's why that Detroit Pistons team, they were the last team without a superstar to win the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. They shared the blame. They shared the pros and the cons of winning and losing. There wasn't a superstar guy. And this Hawks team, Brad Stevens says, well, it depends on what your definition of a superstar is. I don't think we're going to sit here and say Jeff Teague and Paul Millsap and are superstars the way Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James are. But these are great players, and they aren't players that are hogging the limelight. They aren't players that are going to lead SportsCenter. Nobody really cares about what they do off the court. They kind of float under the radar and they win games. And Carroll's the epitome of that right now.
Well, if DeMarre Carroll was leading SportsCenter, then maybe that would get me to actually watch SportsCenter for a change.
Oh.
All right, so Burns aside, let's go to boxing out, Julian.
SportsCenter with an 8th man every time.
Every single time. All right, so what's your boxing out stat of the night, Julian?
My boxing out stat of the night is the 13 steals that the Atlanta Hawks had. The Celtics turned the ball over 16 times. 13 of those were steals by Atlanta. And, there was just a lot of pressure defense. And we talked earlier in part 1 about the Celtics' kind of lack of real developed point guard at that position. And I think that led to a lot of these steals when Atlanta pressured the ball, and they did it all night. The second half opened up in the first couple minutes in the second half. Atlanta got 3 steals right off the bat and was just like demoralizing to the Celtics team. Just, hey, we're going to come out here, we're going to finish you off in the second half.
More swipes than Tinder night in Atlanta.
Oh, going right.
Very creative.
Going right.
Very creative.
My stat actually kind of goes off yours. The Hawks had 19 fast break points. So let's be real. A lot of those steals ended up in fast break points. Mm-hmm. Every time I looked up, they were on their way to the hoop, and the Celtics were playing catch up, and whether or not it was a foul or what. I just thought that the Hawks killed the Celtics in transition, and they just out-hustled them, and I think that had a lot to do with what Brad Stevens was talking about, the effort.
And you said fouls, so that's why I'm talking about free throws. The disparity was 23 of 27 for Atlanta, 12 of 14 for the Celtics. Although it did kind of seem like the Celtics weren't really getting a lot of calls that maybe they could have, but the aggressiveness from the Hawks. Hey, I'm tired of this, refs. It's all your fault. No, but seriously, there is no question that the way that the Hawks were attacking, that was the main reason for why they were just so much better visually than the Celtics, even if on paper it doesn't really look like that big of a win. So for me,
it does look like that big of a win on paper as well.
I mean, it's a 14-point win. I think it was a better win than a 14-point win. But screw you, Julian.
I mean, they could have won by 30. If they really wanted to, they could have won by 30.
That's probably true.
Jared wins.
All right, so DeMarre Carroll's my baller tonight because of all the things I said. Thank you. I do win, Julian. Jimmy, baller tonight.
You win again. My baller tonight is Jeff Teague. He's going to the All-Star game, especially if he's going to the All-Star game. He's not going to get voted in because we just talked about it. He's not a superstar. Nobody cares what he does off the court, but he's playing like an all-star. You saw it tonight. You see it all season. That first step of his, he can cross you. You're in the dust. You're in the dust. He's going to the All-Star game. Jeff Teague, I guess I'll throw his stats out there. 22 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds.
I'm going with Jared's guy, Damari Carroll. Have to agree with him. Had a great night. 8 for 13 shooting, 3 for 6 from 3, 3 for 5 from the line, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He did it all. He's not going to the All-Star game, but he is a very, very good player.
One thing about Jeff Teague, real quick, he's gotten better. He's gotten better every season he's been in.
Yep.
He's been in the league for a while now, and he's gotten better every single year. He's still getting better.
And he's still young. He's still not even in his prime yet.
Yeah.
Though it's exciting to see
Trade for his brother right now.
There you go. Who can't even get on a roster.
It doesn't matter. He's only getting better too, probably.
Doesn't matter. It's a lock.
And this show is only getting better too. That's why we're going to end it here. So for Julian, for Jimmy, I'm Jared. Find us on iTunes. Find everything CLNS Radio does on iTunes. And like us on Facebook, which is being run by Nick Gelso, our boss here. So he's got all sorts of CLNS stuff. And you can find the show here. So for Julian, Jimmy, I'm Jared, the 3Js signing off. Garm Report. Peace out.
See ya.
Put it in my own words. I said we're playing as a group. We're not playing as a bunch of individuals. Guys are playing together, moving the basketball, helping each other on defense. Things that a lot of teams start the season off wanting to do. We stay consistent with throughout the season. It's definitely a team. This is a team. This is a well-coached group. We play together. When other guys step out, guys come in and do a great job for us. We're doing it all year.